Hey, welcome back to the Core Cars News Tech Lab on the go. I'm still traveling, but news is still happening. So, Universal is shutting down Universal Kids. Now, we broke that news a couple weeks ago. They're getting rid of their kids network as they're spinning off other cable companies into an independent group of channels to get them off their books. But what other cable networks are most likely to shut down in 2025 and beyond? We'll have an updated list here in a quick second, but first, if you want to read about NBC Universal Kids shutting down, I have a full link to our story. We broke the news in the first pinned comment and in the show notes. You can read it there. Also, if you like what we do, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, so YouTube recommends our videos to more people, helping us grow and hopefully helping you break free from the high costs of cable television. All right, let's dive into this. So NBC Universal saw its ratings plummet, ad revenues down, and Comcast said, hey, just not worth it. Let's get rid of it. What other networks are being impacted? Well, you definitely have to look at the children's networks with this to be the most likely cable networks to shut down in 2025 and beyond. Pay attention to some of those teen-focused ones. Disney XD, Nick Teens. Nick Teens was one of the networks that lost the most viewers in 2024 during prime time. From where it started to where it's ended, it lost a lot of viewers. Disney XD has seen its viewership drop, and it's been dropped by some cable networks, including the largest with Spectrum Cable no longer offering it, along with Disney Junior. I have a teen. I have a daughter who never watches it. She has options right on her TV. She can go to Nick, and she can go to all these Disney channels. Instead, she's on YouTube, Crunchyroll, Hulu, all these other services that she has access to instead of watching cable. And that's increasingly what's happening here. It's why we see things like Cartoon Network growing Adult Swim, where Cartoon Network doesn't even air during prime time hours anymore. It's all Adult Swim, and there's some speculation Adult Swim will continue to expand its hours, sometimes starting as early as 5 p.m. now, airing classic Cartoon Networks under programming to attract adult audiences that want to relive their childhood. Increasingly, some of these networks see their target age audience be, like let's say 8 to 12, but in reality 18 plus are the most people watching it because they're watching those nostalgic programs that they grew up with from the 90s and 80s and 2000s and maybe even the 80s are airing during these time frames. So keep a close eye on kids networks, in particular Teen Nick or Nick Teen, however they do it, Disney XD, Disney Junior even. Those are all the networks I think are most vulnerable right now as they consolidate that content into the main network to try to drive viewership there. Part of the problem here is a lot of this content is no longer going exclusively to these services. Of course, a lot of Nickelodeon content's ending up in Paramount Plus as they try to drive subscribers. Peacock is getting their own content. Max is a competitor there. The list goes on and on. The other networks is keep a close eye on these smaller sub-channels. The MTV2s, the BETs, all those smaller channels out there that are often increasingly just reruns, maybe a little bit of original content. Increasingly, we're seeing that content move from the smaller networks to the main networks. For example, when True TV rebranded as a sports network, then Practical Jokers moved to TBS, a larger network, absorbed what was remaining as a popular network on it. We'll keep a close eye on that, but look for those smaller ones. I think Paramount is one of the biggest that's most likely to shut down networks soon. The new owners, or the new managers, once the merger is completed, I should say, have already hinted they intend to shut down several networks. And I think the only reason Paramount hasn't shut down networks is this merger. They've wanted to go and get this merger or a sale done. And during that period, you don't want to mess with anything, right? You don't know. Maybe the new owners really do want MTV too. So why shut it down and maybe lower the value of your company? Or potentially upset a buyer. During this merger process, now that they're locked into it, trying to close it, they're going to make as few changes as possible to the assets they own because they don't want to negatively impact a potential merger there. We'll keep a close eye on that, but look for Paramount. Other one, it wouldn't be surprised to see Comcast cut more channels. Sci-Fi, other networks, maybe safe for a little bit in the long run. Would they rather be putting new sci-fi shows on Sci-Fi or try to drive you to Peacock to get you to subscribe to Peacock with those content? We'll keep a close eye on it, watch it. But those are my main ones. Look for the kids' networks to be some of the most vulnerable. Look for smaller networks, especially from Paramount, to come next. And eventually, even more well-known networks like the Sci-Fi Network shut down as we see a drive to that. This all comes as kids are increasingly watching less content. Ad revenue's down. Increasingly, there's more places than ever to put ads that's driving down the revenue behind these ads, negatively impacting a whole bunch of places. That's why we're seeing mass layoffs at CNN, NBC News, and other cable networks. We're also seeing ad prices plummet because viewership is down. Not just because, hey, why put my ad on these networks that aren't driving the viewership they did 10 years ago, when I can go put my ad on an ad-supported version of Disney Plus, Max, Peacock, Paramount Plus, etc., and maybe get a better deal and feel like I get better targeting of the audience I'm looking for. None of these answers are great for cable companies, right? It's why NBC, or I should say NBC Universal, is spinning off a bunch of its cable networks into an independent company, because they see the writing on the wall. They don't want this on their books because they don't see these as profitable, or they don't see these as long-term viable, much like how AT&T spun off DirecTV into an independent company because they didn't want to have it on its books. There was a quote, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I heard once that the head of AT&T a new CEO took over. The old CEO had bought DirecTV and Time Warner. He kind of looked at this and said, no matter how good our wireless and our home internet and all these other business sectors do, our stocks will always be pulled down by these bad numbers over at these cable companies. He didn't see a future. He didn't see a way to help it. So he spun DirecTV off into an independent company that no longer had to report on their books. And then he did a merger deal with Discovery, for what's now Warner Brothers Discovery, and to get that off his books. Now, they still own parts of both. For now, DirecTV, they're getting rid of fully soon, but that allowed them to get off their books. Now it looks like NBC Universal wants to do the same thing. They want MSNBC, CNBC, Sci-Fi, and others off their books so they don't have to report on them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Paramount try to do the same thing, and maybe even Warner Brothers Discovery. They're currently reorganizing, and it looks like they may do the same thing. Excuse me, the same thing there as we're seeing with NBC Universal. Could we see other Warner Bros. Discovery networks like CNN be spun off, Cartoon Network, etc., into an independent company, so that it's what it sees as its future, which is Max, its movies, and other things, can be on its books for its stockholders, look good without being pulled down by the dead weight of these cable networks. Look for, in the next 5 years, a significant number of cable TV channels not to exist. How many? I'd be shocked if we don't see even 20 or more cable networks in the next 5 years shut down. But we'll see, one at a time. We've already seen the first one in 2025. I bet there'll be more major networks shut down in the near future. Until next time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. Take care. Be safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon.